What's up, guys? It's Mikey with Man Meat Barbecue, the podcast. This is episode 14. I'm super stoked that we've made it this far, and no one's shut us down yet. Which I guess they can't really shut us down, but whatever. Today we get to talk to Marcus and his wife. He is the pitmaster of Crimson Creek Smokehouse, which is down in Austin, Texas. And I am very humbled and very privileged to be able to talk to this man. I was super stoked for them to even give me the time of day. I take barbecue very seriously, and so do they, and that's awesome. And I know some of our podcasts are funny and they're joke around, and I swear a lot, and we have a lot of fun. But this was a super, super fun podcast for me. We got to talk about some cool, kick-ass smokers, some cool, just smokers that people don't think of. Like, we talked about barrel smokers and oil drum smokers and all that kind of fun shit. The crazy thing is Jamie actually is a vegetarian. She does not eat any of the barbecue meat that he does produce, but she helps with sides. She helps with prep work. She is not a vegetarian because of she thinks it's cruelty to animals. She is a vegetarian because she just doesn't like meat. She doesn't like the flavor, doesn't like the whatever. It doesn't matter. It's her fucking preference. I don't give a shit. And by no way or aim is that a stab towards her. She just doesn't like meat. She doesn't have to eat it. She fucking likes barbecue anyway. She thinks it's cool. She likes the culture. It's great. So she is also a Chicago native, which was super cool to be able to talk to somebody that is from Chicago and is down in Austin right now and is doing cool shit with barbecue. So I'm not going to talk your ear off and talk all this shit, or not all this shit, but talk more about it. I am going to get right into this interview. This was a fucking fun-ass time. So, guys, Mikey, you're pitmaster at Man Meat Barbecue. If you want to be on this show and you want to do what we're doing here, we're looking for real people that cook. I don't care if you only do competition. I don't care if you only do backyard cooks. That's who I want to talk to. I just want to talk good shit about barbecue. And I hope you guys are starting to notice that's what the show's becoming. And, yeah, we're doing cool reviews and all that kind of fun stuff. So here we go. I'm not going to chat anymore. This is my interview with Jamie and Marcus of Crimson Creek Barbecue in Austin, Texas. If you're down there, go check their shit out. He makes some killer pulled pork, or so he tells me. I'm going to get my ass down there, and I'm going to find out. So this man speaks real barbecue. I can't imagine him not making good pulled pork when he says he does. So let's listen. Let's listen to this chat. It's awesome. You can learn something too. What's up, guys? It's Mikey with Man Meat Barbecue. We are talking with the pitmaster of Crimson Creek Smokehouse down in Austin, Texas, the home of barbecue. I'm a big Texas barbecue boy. Even though I'm from Chicago, I believe stuff should be simple. It should be salt and pepper should be your the beginning of any good rub, and I'm guaranteeing you start with that, because I'm sure everyone down there your entire life has been like salt and pepper. Nothing. I mean, good meat doesn't need a lot of like hiding flavors to it. At least that's how I feel. Since you are from down there, do you inject? I know you do competitions, but are you someone that does inject their meat?
When I first started doing competition cooking, I did inject, but it just seemed to me that it was kind of pointless. You're putting a bunch of holes in your meat. All your good stuff that the meat, all the flavor the meat has, is going to drain out. So we just stopped doing it altogether. We do not inject at all. No injection.
Awesome. So we talked a little bit before this. We were talking about that pit that you are currently rocking. It is a nice long trailer pit. It sounds beautiful. Who is the pit builder behind that one?
That pit was actually built by a guy in Dripping Springs, Texas, which is just outside of Austin. They used it for probably 5 years, so it was ready to go.
Nice and seasoned.
It late last year, and it's been working great for us.
Awesome. Now, I'm gonna guess, is it a stick burner? Just a regular stick burner? What kind of wood are we using in there?
Anytime we're doing any type of pork, I like to use pecan. It's a very mild flavor. Anytime we're going to throw beef on there, we're going to do briskets. We're going to do probably oak.
You sound like a total Texas boy. Everyone down there, anyone I've talked to is, where are you from? Texas. Okay, you like Oakwood? Yep, love it. And I use oak, and then I'll throw a little bit of either cherry wood for any of my beef and stuff like that, and then for any pulled pork or pork tenderloin or anything like that, I've been using oak and orange wood.
Wow.
And it sounds weird. Everyone I talk to is like, wow, why are you using orange wood? And I don't know, it just gives a little bit of a citrusy flavor to it. And I just like the flavor. I don't know.
I don't know if we could even find orange wood.
I had to go on the internet.
Yeah, we'd be importing that for sure.
I had to import it, which, I mean, I have to import all my wood because it doesn't matter. Being in the city of Chicago, I can't be like, I'm going to go cut your tree down. I'll be right back.
And it's really weird that oak is readily available here. If you go into Oklahoma, you can get cherry. In northeastern Oklahoma, you can get cherry less than you can any type of wood around here. Really? It's accessible. It's cheap. They use it for fence posts. And that's where, when I first used cherry, that's where I got it from. My aunt knocked down her fence and gave me all the cherry, and we chopped it up and used it for a year and a half. But then now it's not accessible down here at all. You can't not get it.
I think It's important to say that we live in Austin, Texas, but neither one of us are from here. He is an Oklahoma boy through and through. And so a lot of the influence and, where he learned, especially to cook pork, came from Oklahoma and from growing up, with his family up there and rural and small town Oklahoma and now transplanted here in Austin, trying to bring some of that flavor down here to kind of fight our way in against the Texas brisket that has taken over down here.
I was going to say, you don't hear too much pork in Texas. It's a lot of, we cook beef ribs, we cook brisket. But yes. I like pulled pork.
We came up with the hashtag back in the very beginning of this of Porkify Austin, trying to weasel in to get people to understand what really, really good pork is all about. And that's part of how he ended up with the restaurant, and was that this old school Texas barbecue loving cattleman, guy who has a ranch and has raised cattle and knows nothing but cow, had one taste of pulled pork and was hooked. And that's where we got, on our way toward Crimson Creek, and the Porkify Austin hashtag is making its way around social media. And
how's that going for you guys?
It's going well. We've been cooking on the weekends up at the water tank right now, which is the establishment that's going to become Crimson Creek. And we've been cooking on the weekends, and we have a loyal following now of people who show up. They look for that smoke. They look to see that the pit's going, and they're coming in because they want the ribs. And we've got a really nice group of regulars.
Now with your ribs, are they dry or are we doing sauce on them? What kind of rib are you producing?
There is a rub on the ribs when they're done. I say when they're done is when it's time to wrap them up. I do put a little bit of sauce on there. It's sort of a glaze. We wrap them up, and that helps seal in just that little bit. And then we'll give you a side of sauce, and you can add sauce if you want to.
See, that's kind of how I do mine. Yeah, that's perfect.
It'll be on your fingers. It'll
okay.
be on your fingers, but it's just to help. It's not overpowering. You're still going to taste the pork. You're going to taste the smoke, but I think it's on point.
And are we doing?
We put a little bit of heat in our sauce too. The ribs bite you back a little bit.
That's perfect. Now, are we doing baby backs or are you doing spares?
We're doing St. Louis spares.
St. Louis spares, awesome.
We cut the heads off.
Very nice.
That's the way we order them.
Okay, so you order them that way. You're not cutting them.
Yes,
awesome.
To me, that's my favorite part. And if we'd have them on there, I'll cut that off, and that's for me.
That's all for you right there.
Sure.
That's perfect. We get a lot of it up here. A lot of people will do St. Louis spares, and I was in a barbecue establishment, and I was just talking to one of the guys that was serving me my food, and I'm like, "Hey, are you guys doing spare ribs or are you doing baby backs?" And he's like, "We're doing St. Louis cuts." I'm like, "Okay, so spare ribs." And he's like, "St. Louis cuts." I'm like, "Okay." Whatever you call it potato, I'll call it patata. we're talking about the same thing. Yeah. And he just kind of got really, really, like, kind of rude. And I'm like, I get it. A lot of people in Chicago don't know barbecue.
No, Chicago's all about the baby back, and it's oven. It's like an oven baked baby back, like the old Carson's. You know, I think of Chicago.
We're trying to change that.
Yeah, I think of Carson's ribs and Twin Anchors and you know those places up there where they just bake the hell out of them.
Basically, and
they fall off the bone.
And that's another thing. A lot of people don't know that it should have a little bit of a tug. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't pick that bone up and it's like, oh, the meat's down on the plate, and I'm just holding a clean bone, and they're like, oh, well, the clean bone means it's good barbecue.
It just means it's a little overcooked.
Yeah. That means they left it in too long.
A good bite, and that's where, you know, the competition side comes in. If you have a bone, if you turn in a slab of ribs at a competition and the bone comes out, you're going to be deducted regardless of what competition you're in. You want kind of a mix, and I've learned in the restaurant. You want to have enough of a bite to where it is a bite and you're not biting it, and then the rest of the ribs just hanging off the bone and falls onto your plate. You want to have a good bite, like you said, just a little bit of snug, and that is a good rib. So,
obviously, are you going to continue doing barbecue competitions once the restaurant opens, or are you going to focus everything on the restaurant?
We're going to, once we get the big rotisserie pit, we'll have the trailer freed up to do competition. So we have a competition coming up this week. We're doing the Austin Rodeo.
Woo!
And
doing it down there, huh?
It's a big competition. There's I don't know how many teams are entered, but last time I checked there were 25. And it's all of everything plus a couple chef choices and like margaritas or whatever. We're going to enter all of anything that we can enter. We're going to get in.
Okay, so you'll probably be cooking ribs, brisket, chicken.
Brisket, chicken, whole chicken. They want an entire chicken.
Do they?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So it's not just like the chicken thighs that most barbecue cooks or most barbecue competition cooks are doing.
Which makes me so happy because I don't have to clean all those chicken thighs. It's the only part of the job I really don't like is cleaning the chicken thighs. But
it's so much fun.
Yeah, but they'll be doing beans, pulled pork, pork ribs.
And see, the competition is spare ribs. It's not baby backs. You can enter your baby back ribs in the chef's choice, but for chef's choice, I'm pretty sure we're going to do the pork shoulder.
Awesome, a nice pork shoulder. Are you going to do slices, or are you going to do pulled pork?
We'll do pulled pork. I've done slices in the past, and in our box that we turn in, we'll give them slices and pulled. I think it's good for presentation. Yeah. Also gives you a pretty good idea of what we actually have. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, for competition barbecue, are you making your own rubs, or are you buying store-bought rubs?
No, I make my own rub actually, and I have been for the last 6 years.
Cool.
We finally have it bottled. We'll send you a bottle here soon.
Ooh, awesome! Yeah, we'd love to try out some of your rub. Now, are you making your own rubs for everything then through the restaurant?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
We have a different rub for pork, and the pork rub goes on the ribs and the pork shoulder. We have one for brisket, which is more or less salt and pepper based. We also have one now for fish because we do a lot of catfish now, which is something that just kind of just happened. It was like, hey, let's give this a shot and see what people think. And we sell 41 plates yesterday. Catfish.
That's awesome. Now, are you barbecuing the catfish, or are you just cooking the catfish?
No, we're cooking the catfish, but it's cool. The rub that we use.
The rub's awesome. Mm-hmm. That sounds great. I mean, I know some people that do barbecue fish, obviously, but I think it's cool that your restaurant isn't just necessarily a straight barbecue restaurant. Like, you are going to have a little bit of a twist on other things. Like you said, you're going to have fish, which a lot of your typical barbecue joint, you walk in and it's like you got chicken, pulled pork, ribs, or brisket. What do you want?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take credit for that. There's two things we can take credit for. It's one, it's an established, we're going into an established place that has it's a pretty big bar, so you've got to have that bar food. There are still going to be people sitting at the bar who want food at 1 a.m. And if we ran out of ribs at 5, we don't want people to be hungry. And then I am a non-meat eater, and I've been in so many barbecue joints with my lovely husband that I end up with I get to pick the pickles off his plate. That's going to be my experience in a barbecue restaurant. So things like we're not going to put bacon in the potato salad. So, there's going to be things that anybody can come in and eat, and especially in Austin, where it is so much about a health conscious. There's so many dietary restriction trends going on, and then the other part of it, and what I'm going to try to really do, is keep it local as much as we can.
That's awesome.
And we've found a really great farm between here and Houston it's all pasture raised. And we've got probably 6 slabs of ribs in the freezer right now, and a couple of chickens, and right down to neck bones, I think, that we're going to try and see what we can do with some of the pasture raised local stuff, and potentially have on weekends and have, the organic raised, no corn, no soy, pasture raised meats, and see if there really is a big difference and a market for that here.
Now, do you find, Marcus, cooking with that, do you find that it cooks any differently?
It doesn't really cook differently, but you can taste the difference.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's not readily available to get a specific. I can order 40 slabs of. I could, but I wouldn't be able to get it next week. So I don't want to have that one week and then next week have something different. And it's all about consistency.
Yeah.
Using the same thing. So it's amazing. You can definitely taste the difference. Something as simple as neck bones. That is something that I like. I'm kind of a gnaw on the bone kind of guy. But a smoked neck bone with a little bit of barbecue sauce is amazing. The stuff you get at the local grocery store versus the stuff that she's gotten from this farm, night and day. Night and day. What's the pizza place up there? The one with the big, thick pizza in Chicago?
Oh, in Chicago, Giordano's or Uno's?
Yeah, that's like that in Domino's. It's still pizza. It's good, but you can definitely tell the difference between...
Yeah. I was wondering, there are some restaurants over here that are... The organic thing, I think, is kind of big everywhere right now. People want to know kind of where their food's coming from, if what farm it's coming from. And we got an organic brisket here, and it was just a brisket flat from the farmer's market, and it had a little bit more flavor. It was a little bit different in flavoring. It didn't cook too much different. That's why I was kind of wondering, what your professional opinion was on whether you thought they were cooking differently. Were the cook times any different?
What did cook differently for him was when we got wild hog.
Oh, yes. Here in Texas, there's a lot of farms and a lot of farmers that will be more than happy to let you on their property to kill the pigs that are rooting up their property, their fields. Was it earlier this summer? We went out and shot a hog. It probably weighed about 170 pounds. And I brought it home to butcher it in the driveway, which our neighbors kind of freaked out a little bit.
Yeah, the HOA was not a fan of the hanging hog and the Sawzall action happening in our garage. It was like an episode of Dexter in my garage.
But that was a totally different taste. I know it's kind of gross, but I looked at the stomach contents, and it was all acorns. All acorns. So I'm guessing this hog pretty much lived off of acorns and whatever else it found. But the flavor of the meat was totally different. The pork shoulder from that and the butt tasted like nothing you can get in the store. It was a very raw, natural taste.
Very lean.
Very, very lean. That cooking time was way down. Just because it did not have as much fat as something you get at the store. I'm pretty sure that if you went and got a whole hog from your butcher, it's going to have some fat on it because that's
farm raised animal. Basically, it's not moving as much as that hog running away from you.
Yes, and he didn't run fast enough, but it was that's night and day. If I could serve that every day, that would be perfect, but I can't.
Yeah.
I don't think I can even serve that in the restaurant at all.
No, we're not even going to try to do that.
Legalities, I'm sure.
It's perfect. At the house, come over, have some pork shoulder and ribs. The ribs were actually very meaty. Those were probably the meatiest spare ribs that I cut out of that I've ever had.
Well, and down here in Texas, there's no shortage of hunter friends that will be happy to contribute processed deer meat and, the axis and things like that they hunt. We've got a freezer full of axis right now. We're trying to figure out how we're going to process it and what we're going to do with it.
Awesome. We don't get that here in Chicago.
No, not so much.
I don't. To get kind of wild game and stuff like that. The local grocery store that I do go to has a decent amount of stuff, but the price points that they put stuff at is just crazy.
Well, that's why we're hoping to work with the local farm to see if we can really get a price that would make sense, that we could really have a local, a local flavor to what we're doing here, which would be a lot different than what's going on here, with most of the barbecue in town.
That's very cool. Now, how do you feel you guys are going against you're in Austin. There's tons of barbecue. One of the craziest men from Austin who I look up to firmly is down there, and his brisket line is insane. So what are you guys thinking, like, against competition, going against all these people? Obviously, you got that pulled pork that's going to make you stand out completely out of the pack. You're doing other stuff. You're making it kind of vegetarian friendly, and you're making it kind of, I think, gluten friendly too. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So do you feel that's going to be a big positive for you guys to bring people in, because there is so much competition down there?
There is a lot of competition. There's actually 2 barbecue joints within a mile of us. One is on the other side of the highway and one is down the road. The difference, I think, is going to be we're going to have an outdoor venue that's going to have live music and an outside bar, and we'll have the inside bar. We have plenty of seating. And we'll also, there's a dog.
That's
we'll
okay.
Have plenty of seating, and then we'll have the barbecue. And in North Austin, there is no place you can go and sit outside and listen to live music. The further you go down south, if you go downtown, there's live music venues everywhere. Like Stubbs is downtown. That is a live music barbecue venue. I've honestly never been there before, but up north, and it's going to be new. It's going to be a place that you can bring your kids to, and it's a place you can go listen to some music. We'll have live music every night.
Awesome.
Go inside, sing karaoke, sit at the bar, have a mixed drink, or you can sit and sip a beer on the patio.
Awesome.
That, and then giving people the opportunity to what I believe would be a good pork, and I think it'll work.
I think it'll work. It sounds cool. I want to come down.
And there is a lot of competition, but there's just, there's also a Tex-Mex joint on every corner, in every strip mall, in every neighborhood, everywhere, and every Friday the line's out the door. And at lunchtime, there are already, there are 100 barbecue places in Austin, and at lunchtime you can't get a seat in any of them. The demand here is really high for it. It's South by Southwest has, invaded up here, and I think everybody comes in and goes, hey, this is great. It's 75 and sunny. Let's move to Austin. So we've got 100 people a day moving to Austin. The demand is only growing. So I think, with the mix of barbecue and, the regular menu, we should be able to compete, and then get a following and get a little culty would be nice.
Definitely would be nice. Culty is good for you guys. When you get a 4-hour line out the door for his pulled pork, which sounds like it will happen.
Well, and it is going to be one of those things where when it's gone, it's gone. There are a lot of chain places here that somehow magically have ribs all day, all the time. They never run out of brisket, because what they call a smoker is an oven. with a little bit of smoke kicking in the side of it, and you know,
hour and 20 minutes to make a slab of ribs.
Yeah, I mean, and that's those places stay in business, and people here go, yeah, that's why we don't like pork ribs. Well, yeah, because an hour and 20-minute rib ain't a rib.
Hour and 20-minute rib. Let's see that. I'm into my. I'm not even close to having a good crust on my rib yet.
Right. So we know scarcity breeds demand. You know, that brisket fella down on the east side figured out early that, you know, you get that. You're only going to cook so much a day, and when it's gone, it's gone. And if you didn't get some, try again tomorrow. You might, you know, come on back.
Come on back, exactly.
So we're going to follow that model a little bit, not for any other reason, but, you know, the pit can only hold so much, and you just can't have it going all day long, and it's too expensive to throw a brisket on that you're not going to sell.
Absolutely. I did talk to I was at a certain barbecue restaurant up here. It's in Indiana, but the way they kind of posted it, they had a nice chalkboard, and it said, "We put as much meat on our smoker as we possibly can, and we serve you the best quality that we possibly can, and when we're sold out, and we're really sorry if you couldn't get your favorite meat today. Try one of the others. You're probably going to like it." Yeah. And when I read that, I was like, that's one of the coolest things ever, because they're telling you, we're not compromising in any quality. We're giving you the best that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And if we can't serve you because you came 5 hours after opening, I'm sorry, but there's something else you can eat. You know, and they sell out almost every day. And they're one of the few restaurants that do.
Yeah, and economically to keep a business, especially a restaurant, you know, the food overhead
is insane.
Is so high. And when you're dealing with good cuts of meat and big cuts of meat, you know, figuring out how much you can get through a day is critical, and you can't really do much with those ribs tomorrow. So
no,
you're selling out what you put on the pit every day.
Yeah, that's super important. Now, what's going into preparation for this restaurant? Obviously, you guys say you're taking over an existing place, but what's going through your guys' heads? Like, I'm sure you have a checklist a mile long, being like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. What's your top three? Like, what's your biggest concerns?
Right now, my biggest concerns is we currently have a distributor that we're using. So far they've been okay, but I don't really just need okay. If I need something on Wednesday at 2:00, I need it Wednesday at 2:00. That's my biggest concern. There's a little gap because the service we use is out of Houston. So all of our meat comes from Houston, and it's a little bit of I need someone, that's why I said do most everything, try and get it local. So if I need something, I can run right over here and get it. Do not want to use the local grocery store for anything. We get our vegetables now from a local place. We get our eggs from a different place. So it's all local, and we'll get 13 trucks a day, but each one of them has what we need, and it is local. The next one is the remodel. It's like I said, this is going to be a bar that's been here since the 70s. Ooh. So there are people in there that have been coming there for 30 years plus. And all of a sudden, there's going to be this new thing coming in. So it's kind of a shock to a lot of people who are regulars there. We've kind of embraced that and them as well, letting them know things are going to be the same, but they're going to be different, and trying to explain those differences to them. And it doesn't take long to kind of explain, okay, this is what's going to go on. But we're definitely making a big change to this place. A lot of people who come there had no idea what was behind it, because they go into the front, they leave, there's a fence around it, you can't see. We actually started construction outside Saturday, doing the back subgrade, I guess you could say. We have the slab being poured. It was poured today. I haven't been up to see it yet for where our pit's going to go. The outside bar will begin. Their construction is Wednesday. They're going to start on that. And then the stage. The stage is going to start this weekend. They're going to build it. I would like to have had it built a couple weeks before, but for South by Southwest, but city and permits and all that good stuff.
All that fun stuff that you have to go through? Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And that is actually a big issue. City does a lot of good things, but the city is not very quick as far as...
Well, there's so much construction. There's so much growth here trying to get permits on top of everybody else that's trying to get permits right now. But in his favor, his day job is construction.
Yes.
So he's a site superintendent on a commercial construction build, so he knows a little bit about getting the right people in place to get the construction and the remodel built out.
That sounds like a good idea to know all about that.
It's actually kind of cheating because he does have the subs and he has everybody he needs, the glass guys and the flooring guys.
It's not cheating. It just means he's ready. That's all it means. It means he's ready.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the restaurant. We talked about everything that's going into it. What kind of pit are you cooking at home?
The one I had at home, I have gotten rid of. It was a small trailer pit, and the HOA was not really happy with me. I would take it to work and leave it in our yard and at work, and on the weekends I'd bring it home and cook. And they had a little problem with that.
He was the guy with an offset smoker trailer that he would park in the driveway and stand in the driveway all day.
So I'm not seeing a problem.
Well, eventually it got to the point where our neighbors would just pull up and roll their window down and be like, "Yeah, I'll take a half pound of brisket and a side of potato salad." And be like, "Yeah, all right,
perfect. That'll be $25.50."
But yeah, our neighbors probably aren't too disappointed that the pit. We actually had started and poured concrete in the back to build a pit, a permanent pit in the backyard. Once we kind of started moving toward the restaurant, then his wanting to come home and cook in the backyard, I think, got cut real short. He's got a place he can go do that now. So I think I'm just going to get an outdoor kitchen in that spot instead of a giant pit. He said something about a pizza oven in its place, so we'll see what happens.
Ooh, a pizza oven sounds like a good idea. I cook on a big green egg, so I'm able to make a pizza in there, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Just ovens don't do the same thing, wood burning pizza ovens are just awesome.
Yep.
And
I've never cooked on an egg ever.
You need to try it. It's a little bit different. Obviously, it's a ceramic cooker, and you can still infuse that smoke. It keeps everything nice and juicy, nice and moist.
You get like a crazy flash sear on it, right? Like
you can if you want to. Yes, you absolutely can. Like I can smoke at 225, or I can sear at 800 degrees. Wow. It just all depends on my airflow and what I'm doing with it. It's an awesome cooker, and I live in an apartment. So we have a common area, and that's actually where my big green egg sits. And
oh wow,
yeah, it's chained down. Don't worry.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like,
it is safe. Don't worry. And it's actually kind of funny. Our neighbors, all of our neighbors, first thing was, "Hey, so when are you cooking first?" Because I had a Weber, just a regular Weber kettle. And I was smoking on that, cooking on that, and they'd eat food from there. And now I'll cook on it, and if I don't cover it with my cover, I'll get texts from neighbors like, "Hey, do you need me to run downstairs and cover it?"
They know what's good for them.
They're like,
take care of their own.
I came home, and it's. Have you been cooking on it? It felt warm, but I just don't know. Like, do I need to cover it? What do you need me to do? And I'm like, "No, I'm going to go back outside. I'll be right out. I'm just having dinner." and it's kind of funny. And everyone asks me, they're like, "So what are you cooking today? What are you doing today?" And no one cares. I'm the only person that is allowed to have a barbecue. There were, when we first were looking into this apartment, there were a couple barbecue grills out front, and the the real estate agent was like, you like to barbecue. See, barbecue grills, people that like to barbecue. And since then, they've asked people that, they're like, if you don't use your barbecue grill more than twice a month, please store your barbecue. Well, I use mine 4 times a week, so I'm like, that rule doesn't apply to me.
That doesn't apply at all.
Yeah, that was at the point where, you know, he'd come home with the pit and he'd park it in the driveway and he'd be like, babe, you can cook on it this weekend, but you've got to take it back up Monday or Tuesday because they can't sit in the driveway. We're going to get an HOA fee. They never did. Nobody in the neighborhood ever complained about it. And trust me when I tell you, my neighborhood will complain in a quick minute. Nobody seemed to complain about the pit in the yard. So either they're just afraid of him and they saw what he did to the pig with the Sawzall, or they were pretty happy with the product that was coming off of it.
I think they were pretty happy with the product. They were like, that smells delicious.
Yeah, we're pretty good about, you know, feeding the neighborhood when we were doing it. So
I have, obviously being in the city where people down the block will be like, I know when you're cooking. They're like, I can smell it. And they'll walk down, they're like, what are you cooking today? It's like,
oh yeah, our whole neighborhood would know. They would definitely know. And the smokes, he actually had an extended smokestack on it, so it actually went up higher than the, you know,
awesome.
We're both over 6 feet, so you know you got to have that tall stack so it's not blowing right at you when you're cooking. And it got up above the roof line and it blew over the whole neighborhood every time he did it.
So they just smelled that nice, beautiful barbecue, and they were like, I bet you they just made them hungry.
Yeah.
Like, damn it, now I have to go eat.
Yeah, we made lots of friends.
Hey, barbecue's a great way to make friends. Obviously, you probably make tons of friends doing the competition circuit. Now, how far out do you go? Do you kind of stay local to Austin, or do you go out of the state? What's your kind of radius?
Up to Oklahoma a couple times, but I always use a relative's pit or something like that. But other than that, I like to stay local as possible. The pit is way too big to carry a great distance. I think the furthest we'll go is maybe San Marcos, which is, you know, roughly 35 miles from here.
Okay.
I'd like to stay local. There's plenty of local competitions.
See, I wish I could say the same thing. For me to do barbecue competitions, it's quite a ways. I would have to start traveling quite a bit.
Barbecue was really a new thing for me, you know, and learning, you know, as much as I've learned about it, it's been in the 10 years that we've been together that I've learned. I mean, growing up in Chicago, barbecue was hot dogs and hamburgers on the Weber grill in the backyard. We're going to a barbecue. We're going to make burgers.
Yeah.
And when you say, we call that grilling here. We're going to grill. It is grilling. If you do that and you tell people we're going to have barbecue, and they show up at your house and you give them a out of your hand, that is not barbecue. And so I had to learn very quickly the difference between what really is barbecue and what's grilling. But I was not at all familiar with smoke flavors, that smoke taste at all until I got down here.
It is a big difference. I always tell, you know, there are people that don't know too much. They go, well, what's the difference between barbecue and grilling? I go, one's hot and fast, and one's low and slow. And you got to kind of think about that. You're not anything in barbecue. If you're cooking over 350, you're not barbecuing anymore. You're grilling. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the way I kind of view it. And I'm sure most people down there probably view it the same way. And you're putting a hot dog or a hamburger on the grill. You're not barbecuing.
No, you're just cooking outside is all you're really doing. Basically,
yeah. And I'm a firm believer, and I don't like gas pits either. I don't do too much of that stuff. I like true wood and all that kind of stuff. Now, are you, for your guys' pit, do you use lump charcoal at all, or do you just go straight like oak or?
No, we do start it. Usually, I like to start the pit 4 hours before I'm going to cook. Okay. And I'll use charcoal to start it. And, you know, build my wood up around there so it lets the wood go. And so by the time it's time to actually put the meat on, we actually just have pretty much just wood.
Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So that gives you that perfect flavor. Oh,
yeah. But when we're doing a competition, we have a roof torch that they use for roofs, and that will get propane and a lighter, and you can have a fire ready in 3-4 minutes.
And you're
going. Time comes into it.
Well, yeah, especially in competition, you're not allowed that time to cook that you are in the backyard or at the restaurant. You can show up 4 hours early at the restaurant. They won't say, well, you can't start cooking until 5 o'clock. Sorry. Right. So, right. Absolutely. Now, when you do competitions, do you do KCBS competitions or?
We've done both. We do a lot of more kind of benefit cook-offs for, whoever's house burned down or whatever. There's actually another one that just passed this weekend. It was a benefit. The fire department did one in Georgetown, and it was a benefit for somebody's house who burned down. We do a lot of those, and it's a competition based. You don't sell anything; it's more donation based. And I like to do, something where you can win, $100 for your brisket or stuff like that. So a lot of ours are not sanctioned.
Okay.
Which, that's a word and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I like to do those a lot more because it's actually going towards something.
It's going towards a good cause. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing a rib. I'm gonna be doing a rib competition later on this year, and he does it every year, and it's a charity event. He's like, your entry fee doesn't even go to me; it goes straight to whatever charity he does that year, or it's the same charity every year. But you write a check straight to that charity. It's $100 entry fee. Everyone donates more money, and people donate beer, donate. Yeah. There's a butcher that donates the ribs that we cook on, and I think it's just a cool thing that he's like it's just fun, We
organized one last spring at a local bar, and we got about 10 teams to come out and just did shoulder, ribs, and brisket, and we raised everything was donation. We had beer sponsors and sold cups of beer for donation, and then each team had a tip jar, and those tips all went to charity. And we raised about $1,500 for a local animal shelter, just in one day of cooking. And we had, probably 500 people roll through it, that had a good time and drank a lot of free beer and ate a lot of good barbecue. And that was actually part of what started us on the road to the catering that then got him the opportunity to open the restaurant.
Which is awesome. So you kind of went from competition, kind of fun competition cooking, to catering, to now having a full restaurant. That's awesome. So that's a cool progression. I do eventually want to get into catering, so that's kind of cool to know that you were able to make that full transition. So once you do open the restaurant, will you be going away from construction and going to barbecue life full time?
No. I enjoy.
I'll answer that. He would if I'd let him.
That's not nice. Let him do it.
Yeah. No, I enjoy doing what I do. I've gone from, my degree is in biology, and I worked for the sheriff's department here for about 6 years and realized that just wasn't for me. And so I went into construction. My father always said, I don't care how much book learning you have, you better learn a trade. So I learned, woodworking. And I ran a cabinet company for about 8 years, and then moved over into commercial construction. And then always did barbecue as a hobby. I've been cooking since I was in high school. All through college, I had a friend that worked in the butcher, and another friend that worked at Walmart, and we ate well. We ate well.
You ate well. There you go.
Yes, sir.
So, what was your first cooker? What'd you start on?
Oh man, I started on. My dad had two barrels, welded together, and that's what he used, and that's what I started using. So when I was in college, I bought a barrel at a garage sale. Had a friend of mine who was a welder weld me up a pit, and I also had it weld me up. I called it a steak cooker, which is basically it was a little cylindrical doohickey that had a blower on one end, and the fire inside was pretty small, but when you turn that blower on, that would be hot, and that's what I cooked my steaks on. And I cooked my steaks on that thing for years. I want to say that thing lasted about 8 years. And then finally it was a barrel. And I put the wood off to the side and the other side.
And just let it go. Yeah, perfect.
Let it do its thing.
That's awesome.
That would be the Oklahoma country boy in you.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. You learned how to control that fire, and that's the biggest thing, especially with barbecue. A lot of people don't understand that there are so many variables, but controlling your fire, having a good clean fire is like your most important. It can change a 9-hour cook to a 14-hour cook.
Well, and he's just never been. It's never been fancy. You know, a big shiny. You know, you go into the competitions or you roll up to somebody's restaurant and you see the cherry-coated, super shiny, sparkling, gleaming, clean pit. And it's like, well, that's all right, but, you know, could that guy cook on half an oil drum? Because this one can, and that's, you know, he'll figure it out. He'll make anything work, and the food that comes off of it, you know, it's seasoned right, and that cooker. It doesn't matter how expensive it was or who made it. It's how you put the love into it.
Well, that sums most of it up. You got to look at it that way. It's not the cooker; it's the person cooking it. Yep. It's that pit master that's creating that love and putting time and effort into it. And that's what barbecue is. If you don't put time into it, you're not going to get a good product. I don't care if you're cooking Wagyu brisket; it's not going to be the best thing you possibly could if you're putting love into it.
Yeah, and he learned so much from his dad, and you know, for him, you know, every weekend they were cooking, and his parents had the blues music up and the beer flowing, and the family and the friends, and something on the smoker or something on the grill, and that's where, you know, where he learned was by watching and by doing, and you know, making it, you know, making that part of his weekend tradition, you know, with his family. So when he does it now, it's like that connection back to his dad.
Absolutely, and that's great.
We lost his dad about 10 years ago, but he still gets that connection to him when he is out there doing it. I know he won't say that, but I know it. I know that's what's going on.
I can just remember my dad's like, okay, go dig me a hole, you know, 3 feet by 3 feet and 2 feet deep. So I'd get in the backyard and I'd dig this hole. And then Dad would line it with aluminum foil, start a fire in there, and he would throw, you know, we put, at the time, brisket, when I was growing up, a brisket was like, you know, $1 million it might as well have been. But he'd wrap it up and he'd put it in there. And he would tell me to cut it open, and then we'd cover it with a piece of cardboard, a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
And that's how it got smoked. And then we wrapped it up and then threw more coals on top and then covered it over, buried it. And pulled it back up later. And it was, I can't do that now. I'd probably get in trouble with the fire department or something.
You can't dig that deep in Texas soil. You can only get about 3 inches before you hit limestone.
Rock. But just stuff like that, you know, I've, you know, remembered doing, and I've tried it, you know. Obviously it's not going to be the exact same, but just different ways of cooking. I've cooked on cinder blocks. I've cooked pigs on cinder blocks and some wire. You name it, I've tried it, and if I thought that it would work, I'd try it again. It's just there's so many different ways, I think, to cook different things, and if you have the opportunity to give it a try, give it a try. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, try a different way.
Yeah, and that's barbecue. Everyone's like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this. A lot of people, I feel, overthink barbecue.
Yep. And, you know, when we started doing this and he started selling his rub, and he started bottling it, and I had people ask me, are you sure you want people to be able to cook with his rub? That's his secret. I'm like, there really aren't any secrets in barbecue. The flavors are kind of the same. Anybody who knows what they're doing knows what the 5 seasonings in a rub, 6 seasonings, 20 seasonings, whatever it is they use, the time, the temperature, there really aren't any secrets. There may be something you do that's a little bit unique to you, but, you know, it's...
And I agree with you on that.
That needs to be shared.
I totally agree with you, and I feel like a lot of people will say, "Don't copy me. No, you're gonna steal my way." we could cook the exact same food, put the exact same rub on it, use the exact same meat, and they will come out different.
Yep.
Because you will cook in a different fashion and I will cook in a different fashion. And they probably will both be great products, but there will be a little bit different. It doesn't matter that we use the same stuff. And
you might put yours a little closer to the heat. Yours might be, yours can be a little on the cold side or the hot side. There's always a little bit. It's different. That's going to be one of the challenges for us for the restaurant is maintaining a consistency that we're proud of and that we're happy with. Especially this guy when I know how picky he is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And he's starting to train some people to be able to run the pit and to be able to do things up there, and they have their ideas and things they want to try, and he's having to say no. We'll try it your way, but what we're going to serve is going to be done this particular way. And when they've fought us a little, and it's like, okay, well, that's great. Throw those out. You take those home. Those aren't going out to our customers today because we're going to put out a consistent product, and it's going to be done the same way, to the best of our ability to meet our standards and to be that competition quality with every basket that goes out.
And I got that from McDonald's. If you go eat in McDonald's in Chicago, first of all, when you walk in, it's going to smell the exact same if you walk in one in Austin, Texas. Those French fries at McDonald's in Chicago are going to taste the exact same as the ones here. So every time you come and eat at our place on Monday and you come back on Friday, it's got to be the exact same.
And that's important. I agree with you. That's super important. There's a lot of barbecue restaurants up here that I've talked to. Tons of my friends, we're all barbecue dorks, and we'll talk about them, and they'll go, I went to this restaurant and I loved their ribs. I go, really? I hated them. He's like, well, mine were great. They pulled nicely. I go, mine were horrible. They didn't pull nicely. They weren't seasoned well. And he's like, really? He's like, did you like the brisket? I'm like, loved the brisket. He's like, oh, I hated it. He's like, it wasn't seasoned well. And we eat a lot of the same barbecue together. We cook together. So we know that we're pretty similar in liking that taste. And there's just so many restaurants that aren't consistent. Hey, he had it great on Tuesday. He came back on Thursday and he didn't like the pulled pork again. So,
well, and that's too part of why we've getting the right suppliers and getting the expecting the meat to show up at the right cut, the right weight. He did the Super Bowl. We catered up at the tank, and the meat company showed up with 25-pound briskets. We had ordered 12-pounders.
That's a little bit different.
Yes.
It was 26 hours on the pit.
Yes.
But it was huge. I mean, it was the most insane brisket I'd ever seen, and trying to make sure that doesn't happen on a regular service day. If your meat company shows up and tries to drop you off 25-pound briskets the day before, you're in trouble. So, finding that kind of consistency, finding suppliers that will deliver the right product and deliver consistently will be important.
We had a blizzard. We got 19 inches of snow on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'm sorry.
And I cooked. I cooked
it was
some
65 and sunny here.
Yeah, whatever. I cooked some. I cooked some ribs and did 2 pork tenderloins actually.
Nice.
And
how many times did you have to shovel from your door to the pit?
I don't know. I just kind of stopped. I was basically just putting boots on and just kind of like hobbling over it. I had to shovel out the cooker, and then I had to keep dusting off all the snow off the table that I have it in and all that stuff, and making sure that the airflow was actually, I was getting ice on one of the on my bottom airflow. And I had to keep it open enough to get enough oxygen, to fuel my flame. And it was just because it was melting and just building up from all that snow.
Yeah, that's not a problem we have. That would be hashtag Chicago barbecue problems.
That would be hashtag Chicago barbecue problems. And everyone was, I mean, I get stared at. People are like, what's wrong with you? Why are you out here?
Right. You do have an oven inside, right, man?
If I could replace my oven with my Big Green Egg, I would. I would.
Yeah.
I barely use my oven. I honestly don't remember the last time I used my oven.
There really is a cult of the Big Green Egg people.
There is.
We should probably start to play around with one.
You should. I recommend it. I think it would be awesome for you. I think you'd love it. It's something you've never cooked on, which is something cool for you. You seem like a guy that likes a little bit, that likes to not necessarily take a challenge, but likes to explore his options on.
He's also a guy that once he declares something stupid, like if it didn't work, he would be one stubborn individual. So
the egg works, I promise.
It's an expensive gamble. We'll see.
It is, but a million of us can't be wrong.
No, I need to get him over to let him play on somebody's before we make that commitment.
Cool. It's getting nice in Chicago. Come on up. We'll come play on ours.
Yeah, it looked like it was getting pretty up there today.
We got 65 today.
That's pretty impressive.
It's not bad, right?
Yeah, well, we're finally nice and warm and blue skies. We had about 3 weeks of rain. You've never seen, I think the Austin antidepressant sales were through the roof because people here don't know what to do with gray skies for 2 weeks.
Try getting them for 4 months.
Yeah, that's why I live here now. That's what chased me out.
So we won't take too much more of your time up, but can you leave us with 3 barbecue tips?
3 barbecue tips. First one I would say is do not over sauce. If you get 3 ribs and a plate on your plate, don't gob it over with sauce. You're eating the sauce. You want to taste the meat. That's the whole point. You want to taste the meat. Don't over sauce. That would be number 1. My number 2 for the cookers, I would say, would be enjoy it. Enjoy cooking. That's what it's all about. Yeah, if you enjoy it, everybody around you is going to enjoy it. If you're having, like this, you're running around like a crazy man, enjoy your barbecue. Enjoy cooking it. That was number 2. Number 3, I would probably say is, exactly. Take off the skin on your ribs. There is a little piece
that nobody takes off.
There's a little piece of skin on the back side of the ribs. It's considered, I guess, silver skin. Take that off. Because if you're cooking your meat, their smoke's not going to penetrate that little barrier as well. That barrier is there for a reason. Take it off. We've tried, one of the guys that actually we hired, he was like, nobody takes that off. And I was like, okay, it's kind of a test cook for us. We're going to do one. You do a slab, I'll do a slab. We'll do one with, one without. And after he tasted the difference, so there's no skin. Take the skin off. Take the skin off.
I am a firm believer in taking that membrane off.
Yes, sir.
It can't. Nothing can penetrate it, and I don't want to eat it later.
Yeah, and you can't eat it. I've cooked it and tried it just to see if it was possible to make it. No, you can't. It's gross.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. Well, we want to thank you guys for coming out on the show. We had a ton of fun, and I look forward to getting down to Austin and trying your pulled pork. It sounds phenomenal.
We really enjoyed this too, and you are welcome anytime. You let us know when you're coming. We'll hook you up.
I'm going to do my best to get down there. It's not the closest place.
There's a festival or something here every weekend between South by, ACL, X Games,
F1.
Oh yeah, Formula One. You pick a season, any season. There's an excuse to get down here to Austin, and the barbecue between here and Lockhart. You'll just eat yourself sick for days.
I'm okay with it. What is your favorite barbecue restaurant? Obviously, besides your guys' own. Ooh. If you had to give one.
Okay. Honestly, it's been probably 8 years since I've eaten in a barbecue restaurant here in town. In one of my daughter's soccer games, we ate at a place in Lockhart. What was the name of it?
It was Black's.
Black's Barbecue. It was pretty good. The atmosphere, it's another thing. It helps a lot. The atmosphere was awesome.
And Kreutz Market. And there's a whole series. Kreutz and Blacks in Lockhart are pretty good. I couldn't tell you. I don't have a favorite.
Yeah.
Where the I can tell you where the potato salad and the pickles are really good.
But yeah, there's several places here in town that are supposed to be really good. I have never eaten. I've never eaten any of them. I'm not going to stand in line for something that I can make myself. You know what I mean?
You don't want to stand 5 hours in line to have brisket that you can make in 12
of course
hours?
Not.
We're not going to say anything bad about our local.
Yeah,
you guys got some good barbecue places down there. We can't say anything bad about them. And
no, I just have a problem in general with barbecue being trendy. Like, it's just not supposed to be fancy. There's a couple of places downtown that are like sit-down restaurants. Lambert's is like, when you sit down and your barbecue comes on a china plate with a linen napkin. I don't know. I'm in the wrong place. Like,
yeah, me too. Don't worry. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Barbecue is comfort food to me. It's supposed to be good food. It was never. It's not made to order. We have it, and if you eat it, it's gone. Yeah. Sorry. Bye. Yeah. That's how I feel. And everyone, I started looking at people that are like, oh, I need this better cut of meat to cook with this. I want that, Wagyu, or I want that super best pork that I can possibly get. Everyone that was cooking barbecue, that started cooking barbecue, wasn't going, I need the best piece of meat that I can possibly get. They were like, I have a really shitty piece of meat, and I want to make it good. So what do I got to do to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of the brisket thing down here. That you've got to cook the heck out of it to make it something that's edible.
I mean, it's shoe leather if you don't cook it right.
Yeah,
it's chopped beef sandwiches is what it is.
Let's chop that up as much as possible and keep going. There is a barbecue place up here that one of my buddies goes, let's go to this barbecue place, and I go, awesome, let's go. And their brisket comes out. They're like, you want the brisket sandwich? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. It's chopped brisket. It's falling out. I'm like, why is it chopped? Was it not good?
You know why it was chopped.
Was it not good? Did it come out of the smoker wrong? Well,
they didn't have 14 hours on it. They probably had 8 hours on it, and the only way to make it not
chop it up and stick it in the oven.
Yeah, pretty much, probably. And but it tasted okay. They had good whiskey, so
that always helps.
I'll forgive them.
I think that was the fourth. That was the fourth barbecue tip that he didn't give you.
You need good whiskey.
When in doubt, bourbon and Coke.
Always works out. Helps out everything.
Exactly.
A little bit of bullet and Coke makes every barbecue taste better.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. I look forward to hearing how the restaurant goes. I'm sure it's going to go great, and you guys are going to get a line out the door for that pulled pork. And what was that hashtag one more time? It's hashtag
Porkify Austin.
Porkify Austin. I think that is an awesome hashtag. Guys, if you're listening out there and you are on Instagram, start using that hashtag. I don't care if you're not in Austin. Start using it. Let's make that hashtag a little bit bigger.
Right.
Yeah, you can watch us as we grow on Instagram at Crimson Creek Smokehouse and on Facebook /Crimson Creek Smokehouse, and follow along with the remodel and the grand opening when it comes up in April, and see how we do. And Mikey, we can't wait to have you down here, man.
Dude, I want to come down. I've been wanting to come down to Austin. Me and the wife want to come down, and I want to eat barbecue. She just wants to go to Austin, Texas. So.
Oh, good. That sounds like a perfect couple for us to hang out with.
So I think it'll be great. She's not the biggest fan of smoke flavored, and I just drag her along. I'm like, no, come on, let's go. I've been introducing her to. I think what happened was she got a lot of bad smoke, and she got liquid smoke.
Oh, that's what I call house fire cooking. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's bad. And then a lot of people up here think, I got to use hickory. And I just don't like hickory smoke that much. So I think she got the bad smoke. So now we're trying to retrain her to give her the good stuff.
Alrighty.
So, well, thank you guys, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
All right. Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Have a great night, guys.
All right, you too.
You too.
And once again, guys, that was our interview with the two lovely people that are behind Crimson Creek Smokehouse. I'm sorry, not barbecue. It's Crimson Creek BBQ.com, I believe. But that'll all be in the show notes. Don't worry about that. But like I said, that is our interview. We had a lot of fun. They are some great, great people. They really, really are. And they're doing some killer shit. The barbecue that they're producing is top notch, guys. You guys got to go down there and go check them out. So if you're in the Austin area, or if you're planning a trip to go to the Austin area, check them out. Go have some fucking good barbecue. I know I'm going down there, and I'm going to go hang out with them. And it's going to be a fun-ass time. So, once again, guys, my name's Mikey. Let's keep those pits going low and slow. Or maybe hot and fast, depending on what you're doing. But, follow us on the Instagram. Follow us on the Twitter. It is Man Meat Barbecue. Email us at manmeatsbarbecue@gmail.com. That's manmeatsbbq@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/MMB Chicago. We couldn't get Man Meat Barbecue Chicago. Sorry. Just fucking wasn't existing. Whatever. Thank you. Thanks for listening, guys. If you're listening on iTunes, help us out. Give us a 5-star. Tell us you like the show. It helps us out. Helps us in the ratings. I don't really give a shit too much about them. But as long as you guys keep listening, we're going to keep producing podcasts. So until my subscriber thing goes down to 0, clearly somebody's listening. So, yeah. Until next time, guys. Remember, new podcasts come out every Thursday, and we sprinkle some reviews in between all that shit. So, yeah.